2, 1, go. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Ass and titties. Ass
All right.
and titties.
Welcome to the very first ever Cellcast. I picked up a few randoms here. You've probably never heard of most of these motherfuckers.
It's true enough.
But they're all good friends of mine because I waste a lot of time online and I talk to a lot of people. So I grabbed some people from all over the world. Well, all over the North American world because I don't give a shit about the other worlds right now. Sorry, Australia. You're next time. But we got Jay Lawco, Adam Catchison, and Mr. Venom, right? Mr. Venom?
That's me.
Trying to remember this alter ego of yours. I still know you as Kyle from South Park.
Yep. I'm a dirty Jew.
Jew.
Yeah.
But what the fuck? I don't even know how we want to start this. I've been talking about this for months and I've been wanting to do this and get people together and start actually trying to make a routine out of this. I just don't know where I would like to start. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, we could
Go ahead
definitely.
and pick a few questions here, because not a problem.
Yep.
We made a post earlier. Adam's gonna bump it right now. If you have any questions, you're welcome to ask them on that thread, and we'll read them out loud here throughout the night.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
Before the questions, go ahead and introduce yourself, everybody. Give it a little bio for you two. Start with Mr. Venom here.
I will tell you exactly how it is. I really don't give a flying fuck. I am your anonymity in this world where the world has access to everything. So I can speak for you. I can be your voice without having any type of any type of consequence for being that
Hashtag
voice.
me too.
Yep.
All right, Jay.
Well, I'm a self-described pirate. Most people know me as just an asshole with an internet connection. I've got a big thing for fish, and yeah, I mean that about sums it up. I mean, not much more.
We got a nigga that speaks cold words and a nigga that loves cold animals. Now, what about this person that loves weird shit?
You have died.
I felt like Adam was the transition
Confirmed.
here because he likes some of the same things that Soy Boys likes, but he's not a soy boy.
Oh.
Oh, every single day. I remember whenever I was at the peak of having the cell page. For those that don't know, before the Cellulites group, because there's thousands of you that don't even know who I am anymore, I made the group, and it was all after I had another group that called Neckbeards and Friends with a bunch of co-admins, and I wanted to do my own thing. But before we went on this group format, we ran pages, and I ran a page that was really big on Facebook that got known as Controversial Humor Cell. And it was just me posting random DBZ stuff here and there and a lot of edgy shit. And I would say all kinds of terrible stuff and just get people mad. And that's where I developed a lot of my oldest fans. And I peaked out around 350,000, and I got taken down for sending people to mail the Fred Phelps from Westboro Baptist Church. I had him mailed thousands of pieces of gay porn.
It's funny, I actually just saw that image on Google earlier today. The whole bang from that. It's still there, man. So who knows? People might be doing that to this day.
Yeah, they're probably still getting gay porn. I mean, they did. I may not like Fred Phelps the way he addresses things. The only thing that Fred Phelps tried to bring up was his craziness about how much he disliked the freedom that was given to the gay community. Which I agree, the gay community deserves their rights, but I also agree with Fred Phelps that they made gay cool. Why does it matter? Gay, but your sexual orientation shouldn't fucking matter to anybody.
Right.
Word.
Except for the
it's
person
like-
you're fucking.
Who gives a shit? Like, if you like to take or receive it in the ass, who gives a flying fuck? Like, in all honesty, why is this a problem? I don't understand it.
I agree on that. Like, the sooner people stop giving a shit about everybody's orientation, both from people who are shoving it in people's faces and people who are chastising for it, the sooner we can just move on as a species, is my opinion on it.
There's always the honest truth is there's always outliers. I mean, even back in the day, there was always people that wasn't exactly a maternal figure or a paternal figure, and there's these people would end up in roles as some type of outcast or some type of niche job in society.
Right.
It's just that whatever you are, whatever your orientation is, or whatever, it doesn't define you. You find something that you're good at that it defines you and builds your community around you. As long as you're growing, people will not give a shit what you're fucking as long as it's consenting, has the understanding to consent, and as long as you're doing good things for the community. And most of the time, in this day and age, they ignore the first two things as long as you're doing something good for somebody.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cut and dry, if you ask me. Like,
Fucking gay people.
Fucking gay people, god damn it.
What about you, fish man? Does homosexuality exist in the fish kingdom?
I can't say that I've actually heard any records, any scientific evidence for homosexuality
we
in
know
fish.
cuckoldry exists in the underwater world.
Well, I can't
Yep.
say that. I can't say this is Kyle from South Park. We do have a gay fish.
True.
I can't say that.
But going back to our conversation the other day, ducks, if I remember, we considered them fish for just that one session there. But I believe they're the only other species other than humans that are recorded performing, what was it, necrophiliac homosexuality. Like, they'll just fuck anything.
Rats do that too.
Fair enough.
Do they actually have the higher brain function to understand that it's actually a different, it's actually if they're a male, yeah, well, not that it's dead, but necessarily that it's they're male and they're fucking a dead male, or do they just assume that it's a female sleeping and they just want to fuck a warm hole or a cold hole?
I'd have to assume that they feel that it's very cold and that's not pleasant, but I mean, duck's got to do what a duck's got to do, I guess.
A hole's a hole, man.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, man.
But I'm baffled by this. Gay fish.
Yeah, no, the only gay fish I know of is Kanye. Honestly.
Hey, he's a recovering gay fish now, and he lives with a hobbit.
Pray the gay way. Got it.
Here's another question I guess we can go over. Our opinions on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general.
Alright, I'll go last on this one.
Alright. I guess I could start off on it. I think that they're an interesting concept, but people are really jumping the gun on it in a sense. They're not really accepted widely. You can't use them at a Walmart or anything like that. I think that while they kind of serve a purpose, most of their use right now is on legal drug market websites, for example, on the web. And a few niche websites like gaming websites who are like, hey, we're taking Bitcoin as a bit of advertisement and anything else. And I think that while they could be useful in the future, it's going to be a long time before they're integrated into any sort of official economy in a sense. I don't really know much about what they're used for aside from buying drugs on the internet. But I think they're a good idea, a good theoretical thing, I guess.
I'm definitely not very well versed in the whole Bitcoin market. I have a couple buddies who are much smarter than me in the whole thing. But so far as I see it, it's basically just a stock, and the more people that invest and the more transactions that are verified over the course of people mining, the more the value goes up. That being said, I remember probably 2008, 2009, people were trying to trade me a Bitcoin for a carton of cigarettes, and I'm really kicking myself right now because I was like, what the fuck is a Bitcoin? No, get that shit out of here. It's $20, man.
Oh man, if only.
But yeah, if only we knew, I'd be all sorts of set right now. 18,000, 36.
Well, go ahead.
Oh, I'm done.
Oh.
Mark?
Oh, okay. All right. So I have a friend that's been dabbling with this shit for years now, and he actually will point out on Facebook in public the actual places in Las Vegas that actually have Bitcoin transaction availability, like smoke shops and like certain 7-Elevens and shit like that. So it's actually, yeah, it's actually getting to that point here. Like
So
it
it's
might,
where it's actually viable to use.
yeah, it's a viable source of income in this time and point. Like it's been that way for a couple years now. And the weird thing about that is like I gave him like $20 maybe like 8 years ago, and he put it into Litecoin and Ethereum, which are steady, stable growers. And in the like 8 years since I gave him that $20 for $2 a share, so I have 10 shares of it, they're now worth $50 a share. So
Nice.
like there's actually you don't want to go with Bitcoin because it went parabolic and like shot way the fuck up, and now like it dropped what 30% in like overnight.
40,
Yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah.
40, fuck, that's even worse. But
I mean, it's still not a popped bubble, but it's
it could rebound. It definitely could rebound. Like, but
It will. But
like parabolas and shit. Like everyone in the stock market's been saying this for like you're like, oh, we know how this works, and it's like you don't know the internet and how dark and deep it actually gets. Like this shit will probably dip because everyone saw it hit a peak. They fucking sold, it dipped, and now it's gonna fucking shoot back up because people are transferring funds from whatever they're in into Bitcoin and then transferring back out and move it's a crazy deal. There's Dogecoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitcoin. There's so many different types of cryptocurrency out there.
Did you say Dogecoin?
Doge. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
thing.
Dogecoin. Yeah,
Okay,
it's
I
actually,
thought that died out within like days.
no, it's still around, man.
Okay.
Like mine's in Ethereum and Litecoin, and it's a steady, stable riser. So like, I'm not trying to give anyone financial advice on this or anything, but if you're gonna do it, pick something stable.
Right.
Don't pick something that like skyrockets and like jumps up and down. Especially like if you don't have the fucking like you're not like some rich motherfucker from like what is that place like the Hamptons that has like $60,000 to spend on a couple Bitcoin. Like actually do a little bit of research.
Just to touch on Dogecoin for a second here, it may sound like a meme, but currently Dogecoin accounts for close to $500 million US worth of cryptocurrency.
Oh, very nice, very nice. See,
Yeah.
I had no idea it was even be taken seriously. I mean,
I literally saw it and I was like, that's a fucking joke. There's no fucking way that's
like
gonna
I remember when it launched, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, that's probably going to fail pretty quick, and then I never heard anything about it. Same
And it-
thing I heard with Goatsy Coin.
I've never even fucking heard of that.
Either have I.
It's an actual thing. Like, I'm sure none of us have gone back to that page in probably like 5 or 6 years, but no, they're actually. Last I knew, they were attempting to start their own cryptocurrency with the
Yeah.
Goatsy name brand.
with the I don't know, with the whole cryptocurrency situation, first of all, I completely stand beside what Ben Shapiro said. Don't make an investment that you're not willing to lose.
Right.
If you can't lose the money, don't spend the money on that, because it's the stock market and cryptocurrencies is the exact same thing as gambling, except for you're trusting the economy to work with you instead of the casino.
For sure.
And
yeah.
the economy is a lot more
Volatile.
erratic.
Oh,
One news report crashes the economy.
Yes.
It's a cruel mistress, the economy. Yay.
But yeah, no, I mean, and that's a stable piece of advice for investing in anything, whether it's Bitcoin or something else
Yes.
like a business. You know, if you're not willing to lose that money, if you invest in something, you're saying, I am coming to terms with not having this money anymore.
Yeah.
Yep. It's the
And,
same. It really is the same as gambling.
Yes.
I don't have anything against anyone who invests in it, but like I said, I'm not going to invest in it right now because it's not accessible where I live. Maybe if I lived where Venom lived and had better accessibility to use it, I'd be more interested in
Yeah.
having it. Like I didn't mess with PayPal at first. So whenever I first started doing YouTube, my money would gather up in a PayPal account that I couldn't spend.
Right.
And then eventually, like, well, you're making some money here, so here's a PayPal business card. You can spend it anywhere now.
Yeah, Yeah, and you can just make a business account. Like my PayPal that I use for my Twitch is a business account. You can just make them nowadays, essentially, like from default. So.
Yep, I have a PayPal business account. That's the only.
And,
Like, I got stories about fucking PayPal. Jesus.
I'll
if
probably
I had
set
more,
one
if I
up
had
now.
more
Oh my god.
accessibility to use it, I would happily invest in it. But that's the same idea as like me paying for fucking cable when I'm not watching it.
Yep.
Venom, you have a question in chat, and it says, "What's the dealio with that mask?"
I did say it before. I'll tell you again. Like it's for the sake of anonymity. I have friends, family, and a career to maintain. I don't feel like having this exposed in any way, shape, or form. Anything and everything I do, whether it's drinking, smoking, any of that shit, that is not anyone else's business but my own. And my free speech, my thoughts, that could come back on me and hurt me on a personal level. And this is for that sake. And why isn't it entertaining to you? I mean, I think it looks good. I don't know what you guys think.
I think it's a really cool mask, actually.
I like the way that it lights up when you talk. That's kind of cool.
It's like if Venom from Spider-Man became a Power Ranger.
Yeah, with some Nike light up Skechers, like.
Hey man,
This is what Venom would give his kid when he sends him off to kindergarten.
Make him look like Kyle from South Park with a shiny light up mask when he talks. Yes,
Yeah.
Right.
That is me. That is me.
So, I guess here's a good question to go over in chat. D. Stark said, "When are we talking about refugees in Europe, boss man? Do you guys want to go over this subject quick, or?"
Ooh, I don't want to touch this.
It's a heavy subject, but
I have a lot of mixed opinions because it's basically a refugee crisis going on over in the EU in general, and a lot of countries are taking in refugees from all sides and just accepting them. And there was a lot of scandals, like for example, people dumping people off at a certain spot in the ocean for ships to go out of the way to pick these people up and bring them in. And the problem is with these refugees, they're being told by the media that most of them are women and children, but by statistics and from the crime statistics, it's been young adult men.
Yeah.
And while we I want to hold a different standard to women and children. The honest truth is, a young adult man is a lot more conditioned into his lifestyle, no matter what it is, whether it's a conservative lifestyle or the early 20s. Your heart's set in your mind.
right.
And with all these refugees, some of them are coming from countries that aren't even supposed to be. They're not even supposed to be coming from. They're just moving up and relocating. And the reason they're coming there is because of the fact that they're offering basically a welfare state. And whenever you allow a welfare state, you're not giving anybody an opportunity to grow. They'll just sit there and fester. And then that doesn't help the state. That doesn't help the country. It's these people at home all the time.
Excuse me.
And we aren't built in a society to have free time right now.
Right.
Time is money.
I believe that if we went into a fucking a technocracy where we weren't working any kind of physical labor and the robots were doing all kinds of work, over a generation or two we would adjust to it.
Yeah,
but
it would be. Sorry, go ahead.
Because it would come to the first real stimulation of the mind, instead of just keeping the body busy. Because when you look at our school system, it's treated like factory work. You have a bell you listen to, you follow orders, and you just remember statistics. That's factory.
Yeah. It's like kind of like programming in a sense.
But that's global. That kind of school system, that kind of mindset. And then there's a whole lot of problems with these people coming from these countries. There's not being properly vetted, and the sad truth is, whenever people do something good, something evil slips in too sometimes. And the reason that we have to properly vet, and that's why Donald Trump gets a lot of admiration for trying to not want to have better vetting standards, but making a better prevention would not have Ariana Grande's concert getting attacked, wouldn't have van things happening, wouldn't have all kinds of crazy situations. I mean, we've had a very small amount of situations, and a lot of the people that's happened in our country were radicalized in our country.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, they didn't come from outside or anything. They were
not all, but with this situation going on, and then there's a lot of mixed situations. Like for example, J.K. Rowling saying accept more refugees. There's nothing wrong with them, but she's living in the whitest part of the entire UK.
So she would have no idea.
Being completely detached from the issue really gives you a biased perspective on that kind of matter. Yeah,
exactly.
She's not in the metropolitan areas of the United Kingdom. She lives somewhere between like London and Wales. Like in the middle of fucking nowhere. She has no idea what the fuck she's talking about.
And the people that we're hosting in our politics right now are more social justice oriented because of how socially aware we came about other people's feelings, that we didn't care about other people's feelings because we become too worried about somebody else's feelings.
Right.
We radicalized emotions and turned it into a social media war basically.
Which I think, given time, a lot of that's going to work itself out.
Oh, I believe so too. That's just left over from. There's a lot of stigma and there's a lot of drama because of the discovered bias between multiple parties in our country, and then you could put on the tinfoil hat and look at the EU and the United Nations and the globalist conspiracy theory about removing borders, and how they're bringing in dumber and people that will accept their kind of stuff and have a better voting. Excuse me, I can't say. I'm fucking up my words. They bring in more voters from other countries they come in as refugees or visitors and then have children there, and then they become natural-born citizens. But those natural-born citizens are raised in the old idealistic things because these people coming from the other countries. What's different about white countries, and that's a big thing that the EU sacrificed, is that white countries that are predominantly white promote multiculturalism, but whenever they do it too much, they accept anybody and everybody instead of the people that just want to live together. We get the people that isolate themselves, and it's already, I want to say it's already hard enough dealing with the crazy white isolationists. We don't need to bring in every other race.
I'm right here.
Honestly,
I isolate the shit out of myself.
I don't really have anything to add to that. I think you covered that pretty well. The one thing I would mention on the subject of refugees in places like the UK, or even here in Canada, we have a current situation going on here that's very similar, and I don't really hear it talked about very much on the internet, where we are bringing in
5 million refugees. 10 million?
Not 10 million. I was going to say, I thought it was actually like closer to like tens of thousands, but it could be...
It's 5 million over the next 2 years on the thing that I read from Justin Trudeau.
Jesus
that's
fucking
a
Christ.
sixth of our population.
Yeah, I know. Like, I just looked up Canada's population like 2 days ago. It's like 56 million. It's less than California.
You might want to fact check me.
Let me fact check this. Hang on, because I'm not exactly sure.
Please don't.
Canada has like...
Look, it's 2017, guys. Nobody cares about facts.
You were close. It's 1 million over the next 3 years, which is still a significant. It's more than a 40th of our entire country's population. To put it in perspective, my province, Alberta, which is close to the size of Texas, only houses 4 million people.
My question with that situation, where the fuck are you going to put them? You have like 90 miles of ice in between towns.
Well, that's exactly where you're going to put them.
What do you mean 90 miles? Our whole country is ice, man.
Go build a town over there. Go.
I remember listening to Chris Jericho talk about his times on the road as a wrestler, and he would travel in Canada from town to town to do house shows. And he said that one time he almost ran out of gas, and he had to, and it was in the middle of a blizzard right outside of Toronto, and he had to end up pushing his car from off the highway into a gas station.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. But to comment on this a bit more, like the real question I have about this whole situation when it comes to refugees coming into these countries is, I'm personally, if they're genuine refugees who are in need of aid, who take refugee status for what it actually means, as opposed to an opportunistic way to get out of your country into a more developed country, which is like what you were saying, Carl. I'm okay with that. However, the problem with that, as far as I'm concerned, is not necessarily assimilating, but learning to function within these countries' cultures. For example, Canada, we have, I don't want to sound like that guy, but we do have a lot of different cultures in Canada, but we all kind of function under the same idea that, like, everybody lets everyone live the way they want to live. It's not a matter of imposing your culture on everybody else. And I think that's the main problem, bringing in all of these people from all of these different countries, is you're bringing in people who disagree with that. who would rather see their culture imposed on everybody who lives in the countries they're going to. And we've seen this in droves in Europe, where these people will commit atrocities in the name of the culture they're trying to force onto other people, even if they do fit into the extremes. And that's an issue that I think needs to be discussed more, and we really need to vet these people more intensely and try to prevent that from happening more than it already has. And the question is that sustainable? Can we really bring in this many people over such a short period of time with little to no checking in place, essentially? It's a serious matter, but that's my opinion.
Anything you got to add, Jay or Venom?
No, I'd have to agree. I mean, like 2 million people over what did we say, 5 years here? I mean, it's possible, but with the way government operates, I mean, I don't think that's definitely possible within the time frame. Once again, where are you going to put them? The 90 miles of ice north of Toronto. I mean,
wait, are you from Canada, Jay? I actually didn't.
No, I'm Rochester, New York.
Oh, okay.
So I'm very close. It's about 40 minutes away.
Yeah.
I've missed so many different Rush concerts because it's just a wee bit too far.
I hate to interject here and cut you off. Saw Rush live a few years ago. Fucking amazing. God tier. Would love to see him
I
again.
saw Rush too. I saw him at a
Oh,
Pittsburgh
you lucky
Pirates game.
bastards.
Fuck
you actually?
all three of
Fuck
you
yeah.
motherfuckers.
Holy
They
shit.
were old
Wait,
as
no,
shit.
hey, me and Jake got something in common in here. Fuck both of them motherfuckers right now, because neither of
I
us
paid
have seen Rush.
$6 for my ticket, man.
I hate
paid
you
zero.
even fucking more.
Okay,
Fuck
so-
you.
So my dad loved to remind me that I was conceived at the Rush Counterparts tour in like 1992, and then I was born 9 months later. But
We all
like,
have something in
you have
I
common
was
to
here.
go.
conceived at a Rush concert
You have to
while they
go.
were tripping on acid.
You have
Amazing.
to go and fap to YYZ when you're there.
Oh, of
Like,
course, of
yes,
course.
abso-fucking.
Oh, dude, I could probably play that now too. Like I've tried to play it so many times through the years,
I mean,
but
Krieger
I
can't
could
even
probably
play it
actually
on our
play it
turf, for
now.
Christ's sake.
Oh my god.
YYZ. Neil
Yeah.
Peart stands alone, you motherfucker.
How many
Neil
viewers
Peart
have we got?
sucks.
We are currently sitting at 16 last I checked.
Did we peak
So-
out at any higher number?
Yeah, we got up to 30 earlier on. I'm just playing a bit of a meme on stream while we're talking about Rush.
But yeah, what were we talking about before?
Refugees.
Refugees, right? Oh, where was I go? Yeah, where you can't like you can't do the same like that's kind of what they did to people in Siberia. It was just like, no, you go live in the wastelands and that's where you live type thing. I mean, I'm a firm believer that we should help any living animal in need, whether it's a person, a monkey, a fish, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay,
At the same time, it has to be done officially and in a manner that doesn't harm anyone else to a greater extent. I definitely don't agree that if you're coming from a different country, you shouldn't be imposing your culture upon the country you're going to. That's
Right.
no. If you are,
Nobody should impose anything on other people that don't want it imposed on them.
yes,
Essentially.
because I mean, you could argue that that's rape up and down all day. I don't want to sound super SJW, but I mean, without their consent.
Ugh.
It makes sense though. I think the fundamental concept here that we're all agreeing on is live and let. Basically, don't fucking jam your
Exactly.
dick down someone's throat.
Right.
I mean,
right.
what if they ask for it? I'm gonna jam my dick down their throat.
Well, as long as they're actually asking for it.
Yeah, I mean that's different. That's consensual.
Exactly.
And even then, make sure you get a signed waiver.
Oh, I'll Snapchat it to fucking Papa Carl.
So we have a link in chat. Dustin DeBoer said, "Here's something you can debate if you haven't already," and it's a YouTube video of the full body camera footage released in that shooting in that hallway that you guys probably recall.
I've
Oh,
seen,
okay.
I've seen
I've been
this.
seeing
I've
the
seen
memes.
this.
I haven't actually watched it yet. So yeah, I'd love to get It'd be a great place to get perspective on that.
You guys want to pop that into the stream, or
Yeah, why not?
For the
Yeah,
sake
you
of
can-
Jay, yeah, absolutely.
you were saying?
Yeah,
Carl?
if you want. If you want to go ahead and put it on. I don't. Yeah, you'll have to screen share for Jay to see.
Yeah, I'll screen share. Hang on. Just give me 1 second here, guys. Haven't had to. There we go. We got this. Just gonna close.
Sorry, I don't pay attention to current world events, guys.
This is a good
Oh.
thing.
Yeah, it's
this
important.
this
Well,
is
now
pretty,
everybody's gonna
this
be on
is-
the same page here.
This is
Just
pretty
give me
interesting.
1 second here to fix my camera because I have to crop it every time this changes, but it's actually easy to fix. Sorry.
Oh, the life of a technical director.
Close enough. Pardon the brief technical difficulties, guys. All right, we're good.
You're doing it. You're doing a great job.
This is our first time. We're just sorting some stuff out.
Popping some cherries tonight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we have the video open. Let's watch this over and discuss. I guess it's 4 minutes 41 seconds is the full shooted or footage. I guess shooting. I guess it is a full shooting, but I mean.
Double entendre.
Yeah. Hang on a sec. Let me just play this here.
Man, if he shot that nigger for 4 minutes, I'd be fucked.
Yep. You'd be a bloody mess on the
They don't
fucking
even
video.
It'd
do
be
that.
on it'd be on Live Leak, not YouTube.
They don't even do like that freaking Modern Warfare. Like,
I'm
Yeah,
sure
it's
somebody does.
usually 3 bullets and you're dead. That's fucking.
Essentially.
I was seeing
Hang on, I
memes
am
of
gonna
this guy.
turn the volume up.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, Jay. This guy got shot with more than 3 bullets. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Apparently we have
I'll give you 4, Carl.
simple instructions. I'm going to go over some of them again.
Cheers, by the
I don't
way.
know. I don't know. I'm already wanting to bitch about it. I'm gonna bitch about it while it's happening.
Go for it.
Jesus Christ, man, this
Talk
is
away.
so, like, seriously though.
So I was seeing the memes of like, put your hands in the air, don't move, put your hands on the ground,
Yeah,
do
yeah,
jumping
like,
jacks.
The
Like,
fucking Twister one where he's holding the Twister sign and like,
Yeah.
yeah, all that bullshit.
See, and like,
For one thing, did I tell you to move your head?
I think this was just like a consecutive series of fuck ups that led to a huge fuck up.
Top of your head and interlace
That's the way I see it.
Isn't like the picture that everyone's posting not even the guy holding the gun?
your right foot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like everyone's got
Yeah.
this shit
Oh,
like
wait,
so
wait.
fucking
Wait,
misconstrued.
wait, no, it's the guy who pulled the trigger. They're showing pictures of, but the guy calling the orders the entire video was the sergeant.
Oh yeah, see that's the problem I have is like it's completely like yeah, the guy pulled the trigger, but he was just following orders, I guess.
Well, the sergeant, you'll see here in a bit, but the sergeant tells him that the guy is going to shoot if he does anything wrong.
Problems understanding anything that I tell you, right? Great.
And, like,
And,
this was painful to watch the first time.
No, you're not going to
Now
Oh,
it's
man.
so this motherfucker's not doing anything. He's just lying there on the ground, like,
crying, like he's on the
Crying.
ground crying, saying, "Don't shoot me."
he's just fearing for his life.
It's torture porn.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah, it's a snuff video, kind of.
Okay.
I'd rather watch a Red Room incident.
Oh Jesus!
honestly, like,
Because
I
the Red
really,
Room incident will be over in like 2 minutes.
This is twice
like,
as
blam
long.
bam done, yeah.
You were to push yourself
It's
up
amateur Red Room.
Yeah, I mean, and then fucking
kneeling
this made me cringe almost as much as Three Guys One Hammer.
hands in the air.
Oh, I haven't
I don't want
seen.
to think about that
Jesus
video ever
Christ.
again, dude.
Because he's doing nothing. He's just lying there. He is complying with everything. Unless
mean,
he gets up and, like, equips a knife.
If you ask me, though, there really isn't much more to be said about this other than what's already been said. It was a shitty circumstance. Things went wrong.
This way.
Zig when he should have zagged.
How wrong do things have to go for this to go to this person being dead from here?
Pretty
Like,
fucking wrong.
Like, they better stand up with a bomb vest strapped to their chest. Like,
Screaming Alu Akbar or fucking praise
Exactly.
Allah and shit.
exactly. Like, in order
See,
for
He's on
this
the ground.
situation
like,
to go
literally
to
on
somebody
the ground.
dying.
Yeah,
What I
it's-
always picture. Sorry, I'm cutting something here. My bad.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say what I always picture when I see this video is I picture a fuse, just imaginary, walking up to the wall behind these guys, and then just being like thunk, thunk, thunk. Windows 6 Siege.
It literally looks like Rainbow Six as it is right now.
Yeah,
A little bit, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
especially
Wait.
from camera angle. Like,
Jay, just wait. We haven't even gotten to the good part. The good part is like
hands on the
literally
ground.
the good part is the orgasm. It's only 3 seconds long.
We're shooting you. Do you understand? Do not shoot me. And listen to my instructions.
Put your hands out. Put your hands
Your
in and
back.
shake them all about. Do the hokey pokey, and you
Yeah, do
stand
the
on your
fucking
knees.
hokey pokey, man. Like,
Don't pull your fucking pants up.
just stand there while I shoot you like a fucking NPC.
If you don't do, if you breathe like a thought, I will shoot you.
Do you have it on now, Adam?
Yeah, we're watching it right now.
Yeah, we're watching it right now.
Oh, it's not showing for me.
It's over already. The exciting
maybe
part
for you.
happened.
Oh,
Not like
Did you not see it?
I'm watching him
No, I
crawl
didn't.
towards the gunman right now.
It's,
I just saw a bunch of, and now it's over.
Yeah, I guess it.
Yep,
There was a
crawling.
bit of a
That might have
skip
been a
there.
technical difficulty there, actually, because the whole thing played for me. I don't know.
Oh, what the
Like,
fuck,
difficulty.
man?
It's probably
It was
my
censored?
download speed.
Whack.
They censored it, yeah. Well,
That's whack.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
they
I
definitely
think
censored it.
honestly we've really covered this subject to the extent we
Yeah.
can. It's like
This is
Yeah,
Okay,
the,
long
it's
story
just-
short.
It was
long
a
story
cold-blooded
short,
murder.
The situation was that the sergeant shouldn't have been calling orders like that. Whenever I've dealt with SWAT teams, I've had SWAT teams. I faced a SWAT team twice in my life. Whenever they demanded of a situation, they had the same exact weapons. They told me to get on the ground, and one of them pointed their gun at me, while the second one come up close to me and started checking me.
so they basically failed protocol.
Yeah, they failed protocol, and thus the guy that was listening to the sergeant was just listening to the sergeant. He was under the sergeant's command, and then he was in a really weird situation.
yeah, I think that's just a mashup of really shitty instructions. Like, why would you be like, put your hands up, then crawl towards me?
Months ago, just something happened with Vegas.
Sorry.
What
He
about
told him to
that?
crawl toward him, and the guy's wearing pants. And and what happened is that he had to start coming down as he's crawling, and he reaches toward his pants to pull him back up. He's drunk,
Yeah, yeah.
and the cop is being on the base idea of movement, not situations.
Right.
Now,
It
I
was
wanna
really split second, and that man is going to have to live with that for the rest of his life, and he regrets it with every whim. There's nothing he could have done. The sergeant was screaming orders in his ears the whole time. While he's at fault for pulling the trigger, I guess he lose his job.
Fast forward, like 15 years, he either fucking eats a bullet or hangs himself.
now I wanna say it was within the past 24 hours. I reread the meme of I can't remember the official name of it, especially I'm a bottle in now at this point. But it was basically the regulations of engagement for the United States military. It was basically saying, like, if you see somebody else with a weapon, you can tell them to put their weapon down, but you cannot shoot them unless they raise that weapon to hurt you. If you do shoot them, it is an act of murder. Why are the police and SWAT, in this case, not held to the same level of accountability?
That's a valid question. I think that, like, in those circumstances, when it comes to and I'm by no means educated on this heavily, but I think in those circumstances, from my limited knowledge, it's a matter of either you do something in the best interest of you and your squad or your platoon or whatever it is to prevent guys from being blown up or being shot or dying,
Right.
yeah, essentially. And I don't know, that's actually a good point, because, like,
If you were in Iraq or in Afghanistan or any other war zone in the country, and you are part of a military, you are part of an army, your job is to go there and kill motherfuckers and maintain the peace.
right.
But you cannot actually shoot anyone unless they are attacking you first. So if somebody arbitrarily pulls their pants up, shooting them is an act of murder in a war zone. But in
That's
San
actually-
Francisco, it's
that's-
perfectly legal.
That's a good point. Like,
Well,
I-
why doesn't San Francisco just identify as a war zone? I mean, they can do that.
That, Detroit, I
hey,
mean,
we need Trumpkin to declare it a state of emergency there and throw in the fucking military so we
yeah.
can have that shit throw down.
throwing the martial law and
So-
watches all the conspiracy nuts go fucking
Everybody's
crazy.
Toyota Priuses will explode. It'll be fucking beautiful.
It's going to go into martial law, and everybody's going to be freaking out until they just arrest Hollywood.
Well, Isn't that already happening though?
No, they're just calling everybody a pedophile. Nobody's been arrested yet.
God damn
No,
it.
that's the current trend though.
Just be
Is
like,
so and so accused of
be-
sexual
being a-
abuse? So and so's a pedophile. He raped me. She raped me.
He's a pederast. Get
in
him.
Hollywood, and
He's a
then
pederast. Get him. Get him.
Harvey Weinstein pops around a back alley corner wielding a fucking AK, and it's like, what are we doing, guys?
You're killing a CP asshole.
So,
Right.
Carl,
I don't
think...
give a fuck if
Sorry,
you're
go ahead.
Oh
What
my!
was that?
Oh.
That
Oh,
was,
the hell is
Missing
going on in the
notification.
swamp? Apparently,
That's the eggplant dildo.
I was gonna say, Carl, you had a couple
Oh.
of videos you wanted to go over on the podcast itself.
Did I say videos or was it just stories?
Were they stories or videos? I think you dropped a couple of YouTube links, maybe, or was that one of?
I only
Sure.
dropped 3 news. I only dropped 3 news articles.
I
Yeah,
have not
there was-
contributed
Let's
anything to the stream
let's
at
pull
all.
that up on the stream, maybe, because I can pull up news articles too on the stream. Let me find the chat here really quick.
Yo, you're in a group chat with Kylo Ren. What?
I saw that.
That's Snapchat elites. When you make it to I might as well talk about Snapchat.
Oh
here for
shit!
a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good segue.
Yeah, good.
Yes. Let me. I guess.
While I sip a
Go
fucking
ahead and open
shot
up
through a
the
straw.
rank. Go ahead and open up the rank list and show
Okay.
that to them.
Where would I find that actually? Is that?
So
Oh,
I
the
think-
Google Doc. The Google Doc. Yeah, hang on.
Hey Carl, while you're doing this, do you want me to take a shot through a fucking straw for somebody? Since
Yo,
Do it,
thug
dude.
life,
You do
nigga.
you, boo.
Sorry, I don't mean
I
to
have
commit a
to
hate
find
crime.
it. Hang on, I'm gonna stop screen sharing quick, and I'll just pull it up here in a moment.
Yeah, you do you. It doesn't matter, but either way, but for those that are watching and those that that already know, I do most of my stuff on Snapchat anymore. I'm just starting to integrate back over on the Facebook and with podcasting, and we're gonna put this on YouTube as well. But most of my jokes, most of my daily posts, and my humor is all on Snapchat. And I set up tiers of stuff that people can get just by holding streaks with me on Snapchat, because I take advantage of the streak function, because that's one of the unique things about Snapchat. A streak is whenever you send a picture or a video snap, and that person reciprocates with a picture or video snap. It could be of anything, a black screen for all I give a shit. It's the streaks I do. Well, whenever you make it to 100, when you make it to 3 days, I give you a number, and that number is just a representation for me to hold a placement until you get to 100 days. Then when you get to 100 days, I give you a rank number, and you're going to get put onto a document, which Adam should be bringing up any moment now.
Yes, just one moment here.
In this document is all the people with the current active streaks over 100 days and their placement. And whenever you hit 100 days, you also get added into a Snapchat group where you basically put into a real world-esque thing with 31 other people, and they're all around the same streak as you. So you guys can all become friends or enemies, whatever you want to fucking do. Just don't ruin each other's lives is my only ask.
Essentially.
And then the third thing is there's a group. It's the ping group in the cells called Snapchat Elites Galilei. That is a group only for people who's made it to 100-day streaks on Snapchat. Once you hit a 100-day streak, you have permanent admission to the group. The only way you can get removed is if the group says we need to get this person out.
Now, if I can interject here for a moment, I've been following Carl. To anybody watching, I've been following Carl for, well, I want to say since 2008. He tells me he started doing social media in 2010, so I
No, I
have to
didn't
believe him. 2012? Okay, yeah. See, my timeline is skewed. I can't remember all of this stuff straight up. I've been following him since 2012, but I think I've got a 167-day streak with him. And in that 167 days, I've gotten to know Carl, and Carl's gotten to know me very well as friends. I consider him, I want to say, a kindred spirit, but it's probably the only reason I'm actually here. So definitely start a streak with Carl.
It's worth
It's-
it.
it's
Believe me,
definitely-
it's fucking worth it.
You will find yourself in the most. Oh, it's interesting being here.
So
I'm just gonna say that. Like,
it's a lot of fun. It's a good time.
it's definitely it's good stuff, man.
Me and-
Makes you
me
feel
and
good.
Carl have gone back
So-
and forth, like just trading off the most offensive fucking jokes you can think of.
So
It's
here we
actually-
have
it's good fun.
we have the Snapchat rankings here. This is a massive, lengthy list of individuals on a Google Docs of people who are maintaining streaks with Carl. And as you guys can see, there's a lot of work put into I would say streaking, but that's kind of a shitty word to use, but at the same time, yeah, this is like a lot of streaks on Snapchat. Like, it's a huge community when you think about it. Like,
Well, weren't you going to do a Guinness Book of World Records type thing until they said they wouldn't keep
Yeah.
track of that?
With what was that? I'm sorry.
Weren't you going to do like a Guinness Book of World Records
Alright,
for
now,
the amount of
here's the-
streaks?
Here's the problem with Guinness World Records, and Adam could do this live, so people can see this in a live stream permanently.
yeah, what's
if you
up?
want to. Go to the Guinness World Records site, and you can make a shit posting account real quick if you want, or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
Whenever you make an account with Guinness World Records, that's whenever you can apply for a record. And you have to pay to apply for a record. And then you pay $5. You can do this one small application that takes 8 to 10 weeks, and it's no guarantee. Then you could do like a $100 one, or a $1,000 one, or a $35,000 one. And with the more you put in, the more of a guarantee you'll get the world record. Because unless you're putting a lot of money into it, they're not going to go out of the way to acknowledge your record just because Wi-Fi can be found anywhere in the world.
We're doing this live on stream. Hang on.
So,
Yes, I love it. Hey,
so what
Carl,
I just heard you say is that you do not have enough capital to actually make the stream real.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not rich enough to be acknowledged by Guinness World Records.
Not yet.
Which is
Motherfucker.
and this is actually an interesting point, because people have been saying for a long time that the Guinness World Records simply exist to make money selling world records to people that don't actually matter as far as world records go.
Now, look, I mean,
Ooh.
so far as I hear, the Guinness Book of World Records is the most stolen book in the world.
The Bible is.
Hey,
The
actually,
Bible-
hey,
No, the
Carl,
Bible's supposed to be free, actually.
the
You
Bible,
can't steal the Bible.
but the Bible is bullshit and the Quran is a lie. But
I'm just
we'll get
saying,
there later.
according to the Bible is supposed to be free. If
God,
somebody's
that was more edge than the teeth on your fucking mask.
So looking at this window here on stream, they have. Let me actually pull up the screen share quick if you guys want.
yeah, I'm definitely interested.
Give me one moment here.
Hey, Carl, while we're doing this, can you pick someone at random from your streaks, and I'll I'll drink a shot through a straw for him.
Yeah, I've got, I think, one shot left here. So
Daniel
if we can
Green.
find somebody worthy for it.
Daniel Green?
Yeah, someone tag Daniel Green if you know him.
Yeah, I'll take Daniel
Alright.
here in just a moment.
All right, I will wait for the tag, and I will top off the shot. for
So
him.
as you guys can see on the screen share here, in a moment.
I actually can't see the screen share, so I'm not too worried about
Oh,
it.
okay, but
right
essentially,
now he's filling out a shit posting.
they have Guinness World Records for Snapchat. However, there is nothing in there for longest streaks. There is simply just most popular Snapchat name based on music, and then largest Snapchat story competition,
Oh, that's bullshit.
which says the greatest number of people to take part in a Snapchat story competition, which is kind of cheeky, but yeah, it actually costs a shitload of money to apply for a Guinness World Record. Like, it's not even.
Wang cunt. I like that. Wang
I
cunt.
thought this shit was free.
Beautiful.
I've been living life since 4th grade thinking I could send in whatever shit I accomplished.
Hey,
Yeah.
actually, there is one. There is a place where you can create your own world record, and they will send someone to make sure and verify it for you, and you don't have to pay them fucking shit. But it's not Guinness. It's another separate entity. The
Probably
place I
Jaeger.
the place I work for did it for their grand opening of their new headquarters or some shit. It's actually something you can do. It does. Hey, is that a Michelob Ultra, Carl? Just out of sheer curiosity.
Oh my god. That's what my mom drinks.
It's Yingling.
Oh,
there you go. That's-
dude, Yingling is my favorite beer. Is it lager?
It's my
That's-
fiance's beer. It's been sitting here since Thanksgiving, so I'm drinking it.
So
That is what my grandpa drinks.
Yingling is the world's oldest brewery. That is some good shit right there.
Was
You
it
can,
1812?
Yep, traditional lager. Yeah, that's that good right there, man. That's
looking
that good.
Looking at the applications for Guinness World Records, you can apply now for free, but it takes close to 3 months. Or you
Jesus
can get
fucking
one in
Christ.
5 days for $800 or you can spend
So-
10 grand to have an official judge. Fuck that, guys. That's bullshit.
Like, how much does that judge get? Is the better.
If you
question.
want to,
So-
if you want to, you can fill out the Snapchat thing for free and see if it works.
Yeah,
I could
that's
do
what I
that.
was gonna say. What I'm
You know
gonna
what? Should we do that actually? Should we just like start a new application right now on stream and
oh my god.
Fuck yeah, man. Why not? Who gives a
apply
shit?
for a record?
Wang cunt applying for a record.
Actually, you
Because
can't.
Carl, imagine where you'll be in 3 months.
You can't actually apply to set a new record on the site. It doesn't let you.
Oh, what the fuck?
See,
I'm
What the
gonna
fuck?
actually BRB real
if
quick,
you apply
guys.
for a new one, you gotta pay for it. That's
You
what
gotta pay. You gotta pay $10,000 to get. What the fuck is that, dude?
Oh yeah, because that's capitalism, man.
And they're not even fucking. They're not even a U.S. company. It's in fucking Ireland, I think.
I'd like that EFSM, the European Fecal Standards and Measurements, or whatever, that episode of fucking South Park where Randy shits something out bigger than Bono.
Yeah, 74 Keurig.
Yep, Katie Couric, that's the standard measurement for fecal matter. Oh, hey, it looks like Daniel Green's been in the stream since the beginning, so let's
Yeah,
Let's
actually.
drink a shot through a straw for him.
Are we doing a
In
shot for
honor-
Daniel?
Yes, absolutely. Because it takes two of us to equate to like half of a Carl shot. So you can go ahead and like drink the shot straight. I have to sit here with my fucking red straw like an asshole through the mouth hole that I cut. So
Fair enough.
this is to you, Daniel Green.
How's it going, Daniel? Hang on a sec here. Pop the chase bottle. We're good.
That's for you, Daniel.
Ugh. That was the worst fucking thing I've done in a long time.
Wrong hole. Holy shit.
Where'd you go, man?
I had to take care of my fish real quick. Had to turn the fish lights off and the filter down.
Clearly.
Yes.
Tell us about your love for fish.
Oh god, where do I start? So I was given a fish tank several months ago. I used to work at a pet store, by the way, for anybody who doesn't follow my life day by day, i.e. everyone.
Oh, shit. I already know this shit.
Okay, so Carl follows me more than anyone, I guess. That's an honor, actually. Carl knows my life story, but no one else does. Thank you.
Mr. Lane, tell us your life.
So yeah, up until recently, I worked at a pet store. I loved my job. One of the groomers, there are professional groomers. I did not know this when I started working at a pet store. There are professional groomers to groom your dog. Everything from giving them haircuts to trimming their nails to making sure that their anal glands are well taken care of.
I know a lot
so,
about anal gland.
I don't know anything about anal glands at all. Thanks, by the way, guys.
You're lying. Yeah.
I have
I learned how
extensive
to get
knowledge
nail
of my own
trims.
anal glands.
Same.
So, but yes, one of the groomers said that one of their clients gave them a 2.5-gallon fish tank. They asked around in between all the employees saying, hey, do you want a fish tank? Hey, do you want a fish tank? I said, sure. Why the fuck not? Type thing. Set up the fish tank up, threw some gravel in it, some decorations, made it look pretty. And I said, you know what? Hey, I need to put some fish in here. So I bought a betta. I bought the absolute sickest looking betta we have. And I don't mean sick as in he looked badass. I mean, he literally looked like he was dying. Like, he was sitting in the cup, like, could barely breathe on his side type thing. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to rescue this motherfucker. So I bring him home. I set him up in his tank, and he seems happy. I make sure there's no water flow for him. So because he's sick, he can't swim, he can't do anything. So I make sure there's no water flow. He's got easy living type thing. And I start doing some research on fish. And over the course of my time doing research on fish, I find that these are the most complicated animals to care for ever. Like, so many people used to come in while I worked there, saying, hey, I want a fish bowl and 2 goldfish. And, I mean, one of the most surprising facts I think I've learned is that a single goldfish requires a 55-gallon tank.
Jesus fucking Christ. Why?
Yes.
What the
Why?
fuck?
Because a goldfish...
Because they can grow to accommodate to the size of the tank.
A goldfish will live up to 25 years. Now, I would not recommend a goldfish to anybody with anything less than 300 gallons. Okay? 55 was our corporate minimum, but I personally would not sell anybody a goldfish. I would do my best to deter them if they had anything less than like a 300-gallon pond, because goldfish will grow to the size of their tank. They live for 25 years, and even if like they grow to the size they're 55, their internal organs continue growing through their lifespan. To where if their exterior cannot continue growing, they die by asphyxiation. It's one of the most horrible, cruel things you can do to an animal is not giving them enough. So they will literally die by choking on the space of their own organs.
Oh, wait, so if you buy like one of them tiny little goldfish like this big, and you have a big enough tank for it, it will grow to a massive size, right?
Grow to a massive size. Goldfish and koi they're both species of carp, by the way. Their average life expectancy is about 25 years. There have been records of koi living to like 120.
So my question for you is, what do you say to everybody? I'm pretty sure all of us here at some point, and many of you watching the stream right now, had a goldfish as a pet when you were a very small child. What do you say to that in a sense?
I remember going to a carnival, or it was I think it was a Halloween fair or something in Irondequoit, East Irondequoit, for those familiar with the 585.
Right.
But I remember going to a Halloween fair, and me, my mom's boyfriend's 2 kids, we all won a carnival goldfish, and we brought it home. We threw it in a fish bowl, and within 2 days, it jumped out of the bowl, and we found it dead on the kitchen floor the next morning, type thing.
Nice.
What?
See,
It is now my understanding, as a freshwater fish keeper, that these fish jumped from the bowl to escape the ammonia content of their water.
Jesus Christ. That's crazy.
Literally, the water they were living in was so poisonous, they jumped out of it.
They'd rather die of suffocation by jumping out of water than to live in ammonia.
It's not that they'd rather die, it's that they saw a chance and they took it.
Oh, opportunists. So goldfish are opportunists.
Yes.
They don't have the comprehension. They don't have the comprehension to sit there and think my life sucks. I'm sucking up my shit water. My lungs are filled with my feces. I'm gonna end it all. They're not like that. They're more like there's a hole.
And goldfish.
They realized that their like compartment that they live in was like just a small portion. Like they realized how small they are in the world, and they tried to jump to another reality.
So goldfish. And this is another interesting fact I learned. Goldfish are basically the dirtiest of all fish you can keep. They produce so much ammonia, they shit all over the place. Like they're just so dirty. And if you don't especially if you keep them in a bowl, never keep any fish in a bowl. Anybody who's watching, do not. Fish bowls are terrible. Don't do them. Set them up with a tank, a good filter with 3-stage filtration. They will suck. Like, have you ever gotten a sweat in your eyes?
Yes, it sucks. I used to run marathons.
So that feeling of sweat in your eyes, imagine that over your whole body.
Ugh.
That is what it's like living in water that has too much ammonia.
You're saying when I was a kid, And the fact that I used to like try to pick my fish up and like pet my fish, I was actually doing him a favor, kind of.
Bring him out into the oxygen.
No, you're a monster. You're a monster. That's
I was an
depending
asshole
on the
kid.
water parameters. That's what it
So,
comes
Hey,
down
I mean,
to. So for goldfish, you need to do a water change like every other day in a fish bowl.
Fuck that. I'm lazy. This is
So
my
yeah.
One of the
Just eat
things
it
I've
instead.
learned,
Are goldfish edible?
a goldfish is a species of carp. You could theoretically grow them to a size where you could eat them. Yes,
Would it taste good?
My
that
question
depends on
is-
their diet.
Mm.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to ask. Animals are affected by their diet. So if I was meant about having chocolate flavored fish, I could squeeze syrup down a fish's mouth and pray it digests enough before it dies.
I think it's a little more complicated than that.
Okay, so but what happens
just
if you
saying.
have a bunch of really small nut yet? You said they're edible, right?
Oh, did you
Yeah,
hear about the
they're carp.
warm-blooded fish? I know Jay did, but you guys
Yeah,
hear about
yeah.
that warm-blooded fish?
What?
The
Wait,
moonfish.
Yeah, the moonfish. Look that shit up. That nigga's warm-blooded.
Let's pull this up. Hang on.
He's a wholesome nigga at the bottom of the sea.
And so okay, as a fish keeper, I've definitely there's the sunfish and there's the moonfish. The moonfish is renowned as the warm-blooded fish. The sunfish is regarded as the dumb fuck. The villain, like, have you guys ever seen the meme of the fish with like half of its head bit off, and it's like, I'm okay with this.
Yeah, I've seen that shit.
That's a
this guy,
sunfish.
this
So the
giant
sunfish
ass.
is about as smart as the average chihuahua.
A sunfish can get up to like 200 pounds. This is a
Fishes-
saltwater fish, so I'm a freshwater guy. By the
God
way.
damn,
Like, I
that's
know-
a big fish.
This
They're
fish is
big
fucking
fish.
enormous, dude.
That's a big fucking fish, man.
Feed an
Holy
average village
shit,
for a
dude.
year off that shit.
Holy
You're not
hell.
as all-knowing as he thought you were, Mr. Venom. I taught you something new.
Yo,
I
let me
never,
tell you
I never
about-
said I was all-knowing.
Mr.
just-
Venom, let me
So-
tell you about freshwater
Wait a minute.
fish.
This fish can reach.
This fucking podcast has gotten way too fucking white.
This is a really fishy podcast. I'm kind of
no,
concerned.
no.
with this.
It would be
Okay, all right,
white if we
let-
were
let-
talking about saltwater tanks right now, as
Jesus.
per a post from like a week ago.
Oh,
Was it a week?
Jesus
Maybe
Christ,
2 weeks?
the puns are strong.
You were gonna say something, Carl. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry if I'm being too loud or anything.
Oh, okay, no.
Yeah, welcome back.
Yeah, I disappeared for a second. All right, let's pick a new question here.
Yes, a common
Sounds
question
interesting.
we've seen on stream. Several people have asked us, what are our opinions on net neutrality? And this is a pretty common subject now. So, should we go over this and just get it over with, or?
Where are we starting? I need a starting point. We
I
need
mean-
to go from A to
I mean,
D.
it's a pretty cut and dry subject.
Alright,
Net
well,
neutrality, big, good, bad. How do you guys feel? I'll go last on this one.
I'm glad it's gone. I'm glad it's gone.
Care to elaborate?
Now, well, simply, with net neutrality. Some of the things that there are good about net neutrality that people talked about that was pushed with it. But things that wasn't as good that came with it. What it put Google Fiber in a stagnant where it couldn't grow.
Yeah, I agree with Carl on that, 100%. I
And
think that's bullshit.
with net neutrality, treating the internet like it's something that everybody should have, nobody can improve upon it.
Right.
And the people that are in charge can keep it at the minimalistic thing. And while what happened is that I've been doing the internet shit since 2012. I used to work from satellite internet, but then high-speed internet came around in 2014. And I was at a place where high-speed internet was, and there is no chance whatsoever I can have high-speed internet where I'm living now. But now that net neutrality is gone, I can invest in some other kind of. I'm hoping with the battle going on that somebody will invest so I can have something other than $400 satellite internet. It's not what the worst that could happen is the package idea thing, where you have this certain packages of internet, but it's not going to be like what we see that cable package. It's going to be like a streaming package where you get Netflix, Hulu, and all that shit. Because what it's doing is it's going to start charging the companies, Netflix and Hulu, to build high-speed railways for their data usage, so that the regular data usage won't be throttled from the streamers. And then people who use a lot of data, that's where the people that are going to suffer the most is people that may use a lot of data, like live streamers a lot. If they end up live streaming 15 hours a day, yeah, you might get some bitching out from your internet company, and they may say you have to upgrade your
triggered,
package.
Man. What the hell? No, but I mean, actually, I don't want to interject.
But net neutrality is an American thing that was created in 2015, but it's been pushed through different kinds of lobbies, other types of net neutrality since 1993. But this specific one that was created in 2015 was not good. It's not good for business. It's not good for the economy. Taking it away sounds like a bad thing because that sounds like what the worst they could do. But the honest truth is that the worst that they can do is just decide that they're done with their business.
I'll add a bit here in a moment. What do you think, Venom or Jay? What do you guys think about that?
Jay, would you like to go first, or would you like me to retort?
Go ahead.
Okay. I agree with Carl on a couple points there. Like, being able to pick and choose what you want, that's a great freedom to have. But I don't live in a rural area like Carl does. I live in a very largely populated city, and in a largely populated city, it seems like a gigantic fucking sham. It seems like complete fucking bullshit that I have to sit there and pay for my internet from an internet service provider and then like pay packages on top of subscription services that if I want to access Netflix, I have to pay Netflix, and then I have to pay an extra premium to my internet service provider.
No, it's not an extra premium. They're going to be breaking it down. The $59 internet charge is going to be broken down into like a worst case scenario. This is not a promise that it'll happen. The worst case scenario, if they broke it down to a full tier system where you just paid for what you used, it would still equal $59, and they would have total package deals that equal less because they want people just to take it all for a couple bucks less. It's like you forgot how business deals work. Like, buy 4, get the 5th free. They do that stupid shit. They're gonna do this stupid shit. It's not. And if we took away, if they did something that took something away where it legitimately hurt us or trapped us, the public outcry and rage that we would do would be enough to shut down the business, crash the stock market, and completely break their bank.
Thank you.
See,
I completely agree.
Like, I get this point, but at the same time, I don't pay just $60 a month for the fiber internet I have. I pay $100 a month for my fiber internet, so I can, on top of like my Netflix and my Amazon and whatever else I pay for. So it's it's adding another tax on top of that. It seems like from my point of view. Not tax.
You're thinking on just your side. You're forgetting about the business side.
No. Well, I understand. I understand the business of it, and then I understand from your point of view. Like, Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, but the specific thing I want to point out is the high-speed railways that will be built, and what that's doing is it's going to take away the necessity of you having a higher speed package. Instead, it will be just one basic internet package, and then the streaming thing. You'll have basic streaming and stuff, but if you want to have high speed exclusive streaming, it's just like getting that $100 package, adding things up.
Well,
it's still going to equal the same. There's not going to be a premium. That is a lie. That is a flat outright lie.
Well, they need to build. They need to build these pipelines, right? To like provide this if they want to create competition, like as. Fucking
and they charge. That's why they tried to charge Netflix in 2015. They tried to
Yes.
make Netflix.
Yeah, that was
and,
that was a
but-
huge case actually.
But in order to build those new pipelines to create competition, they have to dig up in the same spots that other internet is, and that's going to cause a gigantic mess. There was a huge thread actually on the cells where people who are construction workers that dig lines were saying how many times they hit these lines and fuck up people's internet at the same time. And I'm all for
Now,
rural areas getting the internet and choosing what they use, because some people don't use porn, some people don't use Netflix, some people don't use any of that shit.
I can actually,
Mike,
I can.
I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead. No, go ahead.
So, Mike, I'm definitely with you. I'm very pro net neutrality for multiple reasons, but I definitely, and I might be twisting this a little here. I definitely agree with the construction workers that you have spoken with of where we need to rework our infrastructure. There's so many things that are crossing lines. I see that taking net neutrality out of the FCC hands definitely opens the way for innovation. We've got a company called Greenlight around here trying to install fiber optic. They're being stopped at every turn.
Yeah, they're hitting roadblocks.
Right, they're hitting roadblocks because my entire area is controlled by spectrum. So while I am very, very much pro net neutrality, and that's for less than legal means, but while I am very pro net neutrality, it is at the end of the day, I'm very conflicted because Greenlight is offering 50 gigabytes a second for $50 a month.
Wait.
Spectrum-
I'm sorry.
50 gigabytes?
50 gigabytes per second. That's not humanly possible.
Yeah, I have like 120 megabytes up and down, and that's
what they're offering.
That's consumer level.
Are you serious? They're offering 50 gigabytes per second.
50 or it might be a minute, it might be a second.
It's probably 5 gigabytes per second.
5 is achievable, but at the same time, still an insanely huge rate.
Maybe gigabits.
Okay,
I don't think it's
so-
gigabytes. Maybe gigabits.
So my numbers are probably off.
Just a bit. Just a little bit, dude. I'm sorry.
Insanely off at this moment. Okay.
Okay.
But okay, my point is here. My point is, they're offering insanely high download and upload speeds for a very low price, as opposed to Spectrum, who was just offered 100 megabytes per second for their the same price as their lowest previous download package. So I love how this thing has how things have flipped around for the consumer. I absolutely love that, but at the same time, I'm gonna miss torrenting a game before I buy it.
If I could,
my question
ahead,
is,
Carl, go
I only
ahead.
have one question. All right, you're saying that they're hitting lines from other companies.
They're digging their own. They're digging their own.
Yeah,
line.
they're going to dig their own lines, but there's other lines there, and those
Yeah.
fall before you dig
All right.
like flags. They're not always there.
Right.
Why isn't there a public database of the line? We have a public sewer database. We have a public fucking. I mean,
That's
if
a
it's going to be
good
something.
question.
That's a very good point.
So I'm sure that they have that, but are you saying that the internet should be classified as a utility like water and power?
Because then you'd be agreeing
No,
with
I
net
am
neutrality.
saying that if I am saying that if you are putting something of yours somewhere on public property, it should be put somewhere so people know it's there.
I agree. That's a good point.
Well,
What the
They
fuck?
have those call before you dig flags that they've been putting out since I was a child. I'm
that's
fucking
actually,
like
Not
35.
always.
If I can interject here, I'm sorry. I hate to interrupt, but on that subject, those lines when they say "call before you dig" are meant to make sure you don't kill yourself by jamming your shovel into a power line. Essentially,
Yeah.
Okay,
So
I'll
what they
give you
need to
that.
do. What they need to do is just is have those people that know their lines with their companies, because they have to have some schematic where a line of theirs is broken. Go back through, put some kind of outlier there, where a spray of paint or something that just makes it where they will not dig there. or they know it's there and they know they have to reroute or contact that company to create
yeah, research it, absolutely.
because there are people that will do this. So why isn't there a database? Because this is if that is a legitimate complaint, that means there isn't a database.
Well, no, there is a database, but these companies place bids to actually be the ones that do the construction and do the digging and implement the actual infrastructure. And because they're like the ones that were the lowest bidder, they actually don't have time and they're under a time crunch. And sometimes they just don't do that because supervisors are fucking dicks.
And that's just financial and regulations that they're gonna have to deal with in court. You gotta do things by the book.
At the same time,
that's their lawsuit.
The end user can call their ISP, or could. I'm not sure how it's going to be under the new regulations.
You still can.
You used to be able to call your ISP and say, "Hey, I'm paying for 10 megabytes a second for $29.95. I'm getting 5 megabytes per second. What the fuck's the problem here?" They'd send a technician out. They'd look at your wire and say, "This wire was installed in 1980, and that's why you have problems."
So
I can speak to that on a personal level, and I'm gonna steal this opportunity. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna interject with my opinion here as well because I just want to get that out there. But also, I can speak to that. My house, this house that you guys see, is 50, closer to 60 years old at this point. We just had our lines replaced by fiber lines, which were dug in by a ISP that is working on putting fiber in my entire town, which is actually the fastest growing community in Canada. I think that's why they're investing in it. But,
where do you live?
I live in Black Falls, Alberta. It is a small town, soon to be a city. We have about 9,000 people, but we are the fastest growing community in the entire country. And
it's gonna be all refugees next year.
Dude, okay. Side note. This is funny facts. Fun fact: Omar Cotter, the Canadian who was in Guantanamo Bay, lives 10 minutes away from me.
Oh, you know somebody in Gitmo, nigga? Really?
He lives 10 minutes away.
Or he's currently in Gitmo.
He's not in Gitmo, he's out, and the government gave him some shitload millions of dollars. I don't know. I'm not going to get on that subject because it's a totally different thing to talk about. However, as far as the internet goes and as far as net neutrality goes, I agree with Carl in the sense that I think this whole net neutrality debate is being blown way the fuck out of proportion. And fundamentally speaking, let's say, I mean, net neutrality is a new thing. When this is completely, fully repealed, and when everything is said and done, if any organization, any ISP, decides to throttle users based on the sites they're visiting or their connections, which also, might I add, has to be fully disclosed under the new law. If an ISP deliberately throttles people, it will be public knowledge, because somebody, let's say you have Comcast and Verizon. Somebody on Comcast is like, "Yo, I want to go to fucking Pornhub, and my speed is super lit, let's go." Yeah, my Pornhub speed up here on Comcast, super fast. And this guy on Verizon's like, "Well, my Pornhub speed's only this fast. This kind of sucks." There's going to be
get the HD content.
Yeah, there's going to be
Here's the best way I can explain this situation, net neutrality.
Yeah.
People think that net neutrality is taking the condom off of fucking an AIDS patient.
That's a good point. Actually, it's not even close.
Yeah, I couldn't get behind that statement.
People really don't fully understand what this whole repeal is. Net neutrality, as you said, is not a new thing. I'm sorry, go ahead, Carl.
And in retrospect, the 80s understanding of an AIDS patient compared to the 2017 understanding of an AIDS patient has a completely different understanding. And I've even seen on the crazier, this more degenerate side of the community where there's a whole community based around trying to get AIDS.
Oh, yeah, God, Jesus Christ, I saw that fucking post. Oh my God.
We'll go over that in a moment. Holy shit. But, yeah, no, it's funny. People think that this whole... I hate to keep dragging the subject on, but if I may interject for a brief moment, net neutrality blowing up, this is not the end of the internet as people think it is. And let's say you have these massive imbalances in ISPs and in speeds. people will recognize this and they will switch providers as a result. The first ISP to deliberately throttle a connection to any website will be the first ISP in America to kill itself, essentially. Because people will know this. People will recognize it.
Oh no, absolutely.
And,
People speak with their wallets. Like you can cite EA and their fucking Star Wars debacle earlier this year.
But
like they lost like a drop in the bucket. Like when you think about it, but at the same time, that's a lot. They're not going to meet their quarterly earnings.
The thing is, here is that this is a mandatory disclosure. If an ISP is deliberately throttling, they mandatorily, under this new net neutrality repeal bill, I guess, they have to disclose whenever they throttle a connection to any website or whenever they manipulate any sort of connection to the internet. This is mandated by the bill itself, and that's why I think this is not the massive and the world build that the internet is making it out to be. This is merely...
Can we take a moment to acknowledge Carl's crotch?
Yeah, it's sexy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's so beautiful.
And on that note, I'm also going to get up and go to the washroom really quick.
Yeah, I'm taking a piss break, so I'll be back.
Bio break.
Oh, it's a bio break. I haven't heard that.
Break.
I haven't heard that since my rating days. Jesus Christ.
Exactly. Wasn't it such a wonderful term?
Bio break.
Somebody just said they had to go on a bio break, and it could mean that they wanted a cigarette, they needed to take a shit, they needed to go rub one out.
Yeah, well, dude, I mean, I can't rub one out that fast. Like, I'm a fucking porn star, but...
Dude, a minute and a half's all I need. I'm just saying.
Depending on the porn. I can rub one out.
Imagination. It's all right here, man.
You are a better man than me. Jesus Christ.
I'm ADHD.
I know someone was actually asking where I actually got the mask. I saw that.
Where did you get the mask?
There's a company out there. It's actually a cycling mask. So when you're riding a bicycle, like, this keeps your face warm. And it also lights up so people can see you, so you don't get fucking killed by someone who's...
So as long as you're talking to yourself, other people will know you're bicycling on the road.
Well, you can actually adjust the sensitivity of the sound that makes it actually...
So that just the wind isn't...
Yeah, like, so if I don't want the wind to trigger it, right now I have it set really low, so it only, like, flickers to my voice, but it's a company called eOutdoor.com. Sells this mask, and I saw that in the live stream chat. I just wanted to throw that out there for whoever asked. I'm sorry, but I thought I would try to fill that in and segue into wherever we're going.
So, I was going to bring it to the whole Apple throttling older iPhones, actually.
This is some good conversation right here.
Because Carl
just got an iPhone, too. Carl just got an iPhone. So
working fine for me.
Ooh.
So yeah, what do you guys think about Apple throttling the older models of iPhone to, quote-unquote, preserve battery life?
This isn't anything new. This has been going on since, like, the original iPhone. Like, just because they're just now saying it and some fucking snowflakes are butthurt about it, like, don't update. They're not forcing you to update your phone. You want those new features that are going to consume more battery life, you have to acknowledge the fact. You're agreeing to those terms and conditions, and I guarantee you it's in there. I
don't know if the increased processing power is actually going to be included in the terms and conditions, though.
Want to bet?
I mean, it's possible. I absolutely hate Apple, though. So I'm always going to be purely biased against them.
I mean, and I'm asking you to take a step back from that and think about it, because Android has been doing the same thing, too. They don't push.
Sure.
They don't
to an
push.
extent.
Like, yeah, well, see, Android is different because it's an open source fucking platform where Samsung, Motorola, any of the other companies, HTC, they can put their own, like, add-ons and bloatware on top of it and create their own, like, pseudo fucking operating system.
Yeah, and that's a good point. If I may interject here, I'm I'm pretty experienced as far as Android, AOSP, Samsung, fucking TouchWiz bullshit goes.
Yeah. Let's definitely hear your thoughts.
I don't mean to steal the mic here. But at the same time, every organization, every company that manufactures phones, when they have a device like I have a S6 Edge. This is my S6 Edge. It's running TouchWiz. However, you can customize it out of TouchWiz to be more user friendly and even power user friendly. Like I typically use AOSP. I just got rid of my OnePlus One. I gave it to a friend, but it was complete stock Android. And even if you have to use TouchWiz, you can customize your phone. I don't fucking drop it and break it. You can customize Android devices to be more tweaked to the user as opposed to something restrictive like iOS. Which, I mean, like, it's a matter of personal preference. If you really don't care about that, buy an iPhone. Who the fuck cares? I mean, I'm also of the mindset that iPhones aren't really the best in comparison, but I guess at the end of the day, if you have the money and you really don't care, use an iPhone. If your only option is an iPhone, use an iPhone. If somebody gives you an iPhone...
I have a counter-argument.
Go ahead, what's up?
As a recent iPhone crossover fan, the good thing about iPhones is that with all the models of iPhones, they're still the standard type of operating system and standard screen sizes over the course that you know and that you know. And when app developers make app for iPhone, they have an easier time making apps for iPhone and accommodate them better for people.
This is very true.
Because it's a standardized platform.
Yeah, it's very.
That's
like,
very true.
But
I will
it's
give
very
it that.
it's vanilla,
As someone who had the Samsung Galaxy S6 and when you use Snapchat, one streak, and someone who switched to the LG Phoenix, the worst possible phone you can imagine.
My father had one of those, and he fucking hated it. So
I did streaks with them.
I understand. Jesus Christ, man, he couldn't even get on the fucking internet.
Wait, hang on. Did I hear that correctly? Did you do Snapchat streaks with Venom's dad?
No,
the same phone as my dad.
Oh, okay, alright. Alright. I was like, wait a minute, what the fuck?
Well, what?
yeah, my dad and Carl are fucking snapshot gods for whatever fucking reason.
Like
I don't even know.
Well, no, obviously. Also, shameless plug, Snapshot God, add Carl on Snapchat. QR codes on the stream, scan that shit, guys.
Most definitely. You could be here.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
sure fucking could.
That's the legitimate truth.
Yeah.
Which I switched over to iPhone, and for the first time in my life with Snapchat, for the stuff that I need Snapchat for, since I do most of my shit through Snapchat,
yeah,
I'm not having any problem. I mean, I think and then the fact that there's a Photoshop app that's perfectly built for iPhone.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I did not know that.
There's 3 of them.
Yeah, there's 3 of them.
3 of them.
Now I'm interested, because if there is a quality photo editing app for iPhone, I might need to pick one up.
There's Photoshop Fix, Photoshop Mix, and another one, and then there's Adobe Lightroom on top of it. And then there's like all the drawing programs you can use a stylus with that's pressure sensitive. It's fucking stupid.
I never thought I'd say this, but maybe I should pick up an iPhone just so
Carl,
Nope, definitely not.
He's like, no, fuck you, man.
No,
Well,
Android all the way.
With that going on, another thing I like to bring up is that Snapchat would crash on me when I'd get too many snaps. And then Snapchat on Android, this has been a constant thing from the Galaxy S6 to the LG Phoenix, all the way until I went to this iPhone, where I don't have it as often until it happens. If I get more than 50 snaps, some snaps will start disappearing.
Hey, that actually, I'm pretty sure I can come out of that. TK, my friend IRL, you guys had that Snapchat fuckery. It kind of fucked up. Was that a result of that, or was it just Snapchat's end?
I don't know what happened there. We conversed the night before.
Oh, really?
Here's the best way I can explain the Snapchat thing that happened. What most people do not understand is that Snapchat is turn-based. So, for example, whenever you start a streak, one person has to send a snap before the other person can. The other person can send 100 snaps, but it won't count until after that person sends that one snap.
Oh, shit.
So, So
My
what
snaps.
so what I think happened is that he snapped me first because I did my streak. He's on a set schedule. He sends the same snaps at the same times every day.
Yeah, his work schedule is pretty rigid. Yeah.
I did my streaks an hour later one day, so my streak came after his normal snap.
That'd be it. Yep.
That happens with me and you every once in a while, Carl. Like, I wake up and I'm like, oh shit, time to send a snap to Carl and, like, fucking send some dumb shit.
That's why I tell everyone, just send a good morning and a good night one. 16 hours apart, you almost never break a streak once you get right in the routine.
That's why, like, I try to, when I wake up at, like, 6 in the morning and then fall back asleep, I try to send a snap in between that. So I can,
it's a good thing to verify, because every time I see a good morning snap, I try to reply good morning. So that if the streak does break, when you report it, there's that good morning that I replied, and then I always send out mass streak.
Like, Carl, you've been saying this forever. Like, when people give you a generic fucking snap, you copy pasta one, but that's all it takes to continue a streak, and people don't realize that. That's all you need to do. Like, it's that simple. And like,
send a picture back.
Yeah, not even a pic. Hold your fucking finger over the goddamn camera and say, "Suck my asshole, taco vendor," like Cartman. It doesn't fucking matter. Like anything. Like that. If that's your good morning to people, that's your good morning to people. Who gives a shit?
At the same time, though, when you think of it from an entertainer's perspective, somebody, especially Carl, who's on Snapchat, it's more than just like a finger over a camera. You gotta maintain that.
Oh yeah, well, for me, yeah.
Right.
That what he's saying is how I don't care what you send me. So when you send a black screen, that's keeping the streak.
I'm gonna send you a dick pic right now, Kappa.
Oh man, like, I hope it's a fucking good one.
I'm kidding.
Send Milk's cock.
For 2 reasons. I only block for 2 reasons. If you send me shit snaps more than once, I block. I put a little note on your name if you sent me a shit snap.
That's a. Yeah, you're actually. I hate to interject here, but your Snapchat organization is team tier. It's insanely intricate.
No, it's great, man. It's one of the best things. Like, I could be having the worst fucking day of my life, and then like I go look at his story, and because like he sent me meme dump on the story, check it out, and
all sorts of memes.
Yeah, like it's some of the shit that I fucking gave him too. That's what makes it even better. Is like you don't you converse with him, like it's an investment. It will come back to you, like 100%.
At the same time, Carl, you have what, like 11 or more different symbols that signify different streaks or different groups on your Snapchat?
I came across a huge conundrum. One thing that Android has over Snapchat is Android has more numeric terms and odd items I can use.
You need to download more keyboards.
Because of the keyboard, yeah.
Yeah, you can get new keyboards.
I didn't feel like wasting my time with that because iPhone already has thousands of little. I discovered last night that iPhone has those little emojis like a horn, a little person, all those.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
I got like 5,000 little itemizers I can add now. So instead of me just doing little hieroglyphs to understand, now I have full picture to tell what I want. Last night I decided patrons are going to have the horn symbol. Pot smokers are going to have a smoke symbol.
Hit me up with that shit, yeah.
Yeah, how many symbols do I have, though, is the better question, because I hit a couple of those.
You got pot smoker, you got Patreon, that's it. Jay, you got pot smoker, you got 100 days.
Word. Definitely wanted that out there.
Yeah, I'm working towards that one really fucking hard, man.
I forgot.
But yeah, no, like
I'm taking rips on stream, so I don't care because it's a non-legal amount.
Wait,
might as well at this point. I've been waiting for a stream to end to freaking hit this shit again. So
just hit it, dude. I've been hitting it for God knows how long.
As far as and I should elaborate this right now. Desktop streams have no limit, so we can stream as long as we would like on.
Yeah.
I ain't doing anything.
Yeah.
I'm
The
having fun.
batteries in my fucking face mask are dying, and I don't care.
One more question, quick, Carl, before we move on to another subject. How is the reorganization going with those symbols and stuff? Because I know you had a really micromanaged Snapchat symbol kind of like thing going on. How's that going?
What I do is that since it's going to take time and I have a lot of shit to do on the side, like setting up this podcast and then setting up all those hyperlinks and getting everything together took all my day today.
Oh my god, dude! Like me and you, Carl, we're talking at like what 7:30 my time, 10:30 your time about this shit.
Yeah, I just threw the idea out. I was watching The Drunken Peasants, and I'm like, I like this setup of how I'm doing it. Can someone do this too?
And that was pretty much that.
And here we are. Yep.
And here we are.
Pretty much.
Shout out to The Drunken Peasants, by the way.
Yeah, I love.
I'll drink to that.
I will drink to that as well with my goblet of beer.
If I was not out of alcohol.
I just started opening up the podcast, and I was listening to The Drunken Peasants when they first came around. But then I wasn't in the podcast, and I didn't like how long they were. And now I prefer long videos. And I sit and listen to a couple Drunken Peasants podcasts, and I'm like, oh my god, I've been missing this in my life.
Yeah,
Joe Rogan's podcast about doing DMT. Holy fuck,
yeah.
That shit changed my life. That shit changed my fucking life.
So, as far as questions go, let me refresh the stream real quick.
Yeah.
Let's see here if anyone's commenting, asking questions.
How many viewers we got?
We have dropped, at least from my point of view.
On the thread, let's go. We've already talked about Bitcoin. We've already talked about refugees. Hang on one moment.
It's all good loading the pipe anyways.
This is a good generic subject. Aaron Davis, as you like, Carl, said, any plans for YouTube? And then more expanding on that, where do we plan on going with this whole kind of entertainment aspect in the future? How do we plan on continuing this, if possible?
Well, if this podcast ends up as being as much of a success I'm hoping it's going to be, I'm going to be doing more regardless. But it's going to have a plenty of different people over the podcast. I have plenty of other friends that want to be in it. But one of the mainstays is either going to be Venom or Adam because they're going to be running the streams.
Right.
Y'all didn't know that about me, did you?
I'm always around. I mean, if I may very briefly interject, I'm just here to host streams. I'm here to be as a platform, and I have a desktop I can stream. That's all I'm really here for. I'm here to make this possible. So as long as we can make it happen, that's what matters.
I got the gear to make it happen too, so I can definitely take a step back and
in other scenarios that they can just be the silent person putting on YouTube videos and controlling the stream.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean,
playing DJ, that shit's fun as fuck, man.
It is.
I enjoy playing DJ.
I mean, like, I ideally, like, this is a trial podcast, obviously, but it's been pretty successful. We've been maintaining a pretty steady viewer base. I'm pretty happy with that. Like,
can I ask a favor of the 9 viewers we have right now? Because they're probably seeing it on like a different screen than we are. I think I did a good job of making my background black. I can't really tell because every time I breathe, my condensation from my mouth comes up on the glasses that I'm wearing, so I can't really see
I just realized
shit.
That's the reason my screen is blurred. I should be wearing my fucking glasses. Holy shit. Hour and a half later, and it's like, why is my screen blurry?
Why is this so bad? Oh my god.
I mean, yeah, no, Carl,
thank you for that.
Where do you plan on taking this in the future? That's also another question. Where do you see yourself in the group or any of this in the future, essentially? How do you,
Well, for those that don't know, I have a Patreon. I've been working to earn more patrons to make a sustainable living where I can do this full time. I help out on my family's, my fiance's parents' farm whenever they need help, and I do I do stuff to kill the time. Sometimes I do a little bit of volunteer work with a friend of mine, but there's not really much to do where I live, and I'm planning to move away once I get a vehicle. But but instead of trying to mess with the circumstances I have here, I decided to go full on trying to make a part-time job out of my entertaining. And I started this back in July, and I think I'm up to 46 patrons right now. I'm aiming to try to get to 50 by January 1st.
46 already. Holy shit, that's actually
Yeah.
awesome.
Like I know a couple cosplayers that are way better than that fat cunt that everyone likes to talk about. That
Let's
only
not
have
go
like,
on that.
hey,
Let's not even go there. Oh,
that's
God.
why I'm not saying it. They are better than them, and if people want to know about it, they can get in touch with me. But they only have like fucking 5 or 10 followers that do like $1-2 a month, and they actually try and put their heart and soul into it like fucking Carl is. So at the same time,
let's take a moment to thank all, was it 46? I think it was
46
people who are pledging to Carl to make this entertainment happen on a regular basis. You guys are awesome. Come on, guys.
Yep.
You guys are supporting this kind of stuff. You guys are really making this happen. That's an amazing thing. Like,
you guys, the reason this podcast is happening tonight is because of the patrons.
Exactly.
It all started with me just doing stuff on Snapchat, and then me keeping in constant contact with people, and eventually I got a hold of an upgrade on my phone, which came with the upgrade. I'd like to say, if you paid attention to my Snapchats over the past week, there's been a bit of an upgrade on the type of content and the cropping and the duration of how much it is.
Yep. I've been paying attention to that, Carl, and I can tell you right now, I truly enjoy that shit. It makes it a much more, like...
immersive?
Yeah, immersive experience with them. It's not just, like, and it has, like, I'm not saying, like, you know, iPhone fucking fanboy bullshit, but his ability to, like, have that technology in his hand to do it, it's worth it. His Patreon's worth it. I will tell you that.
It's a good time.
From experience. That's the most I'll give you when it comes to who I am.
One thing I think we were gonna go over tonight, actually, if I think all you guys can pull this up, was the rules for cells. Do we still want to go over that? Do we want to like?
Oh yeah, let me.
Yeah, I think.
If you want to, what we can do. No, I don't want. I don't know if I want to poke with it. I was thinking about restarting the stream. We just clip this and make the next one, call the next one just bonus episode, bonus stream.
Sure, we can do
Yeah,
that.
done with that.
Episode 0 bonus stream restart.
I could use about a
good.
5-minute break anyway.
Let me do a, or actually, if you want to, Carl, you can just do a PSA on the stream, and I can kind of like out and edit it.
All right. And if you want to, we can still upload this as one whole thing on YouTube.
Of course, yeah, we can make that happen.
One thing I do want to state is that some of the important things I want to take out, that maybe we should take out that clip of the whole net neutrality argument and put it into a clip just for people to watch. And
Sure.
each individual topic will be great because it'll generate its own views.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna save this entire video, and I'll edit it likely tomorrow.
Yeah, you have full reign to fuck around with it like what PewDiePie's director does with his shit.
Essentially, yeah. We'll make this work and we'll make it good. It's gonna be a good time.
Carl's a goddamn mastermind. Like, I heard him say that shit, and I was listening, and I was like, damn, that's such a good idea.
We're gonna format this and make it a good quality, enjoyable podcast.
And it'll be up to in every podcast that we do will be uploaded onto a YouTube that's going to be public for anyone to view.
Yes. If you are interested, we will actually post this soon in Cells, I believe. It's like link to the Cells. Actually, Carl, that's your YouTube channel.
It's my second YouTube channel. I made a new one just for this.
Awesome. I'll let you post that, and then we'll just kind of link to that when I edit it and format it. So this is going to be on YouTube. Yes, it's going to be a good time.
It's going to be a great time.
Good times, yeah. Like Borat.
The Daft Punk song. Yeah, like Borat.
Oh, like Borat, yeah.
But anyhow, should we just like end it and reboot essentially for the rule stream, I guess, or?
I'm done with that.
I guess that's what we can do. The best thing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I can do that, and then I will just pull it up on stream in the quality
And
massive
then
window.
Yeah, what we'll do, just so you know ahead of time, is that once you read off a rule, then I'll explain it, and then they can give input as members.
Awesome.
That way, if they
Yeah,
have
I like
specific
that.
questions,
Yeah,
they have
Sounds good.
specific questions. They're representatives, and
Wonderful.
you guys can also keep an eye on comments to see if anybody else has
Yes.
questions.
Yes, I will have that open. So, anyways, I guess that's it. Any closing comments, guys?
This was really fun.
America, fuck yeah.
Coming to save the motherfucking day, yeah, America.
I do want to
Yeah.
just interject here. Thank you all so much for watching. This is going to be a plan that we are hopefully carrying forward soon. It's fun to have these podcasts, ideally with Carl and whoever wants to join. Not necessarily me, but once we get this sorted out. This is kind of a trial run. We're hoping to expand this in the future, so if you're interested in participating, once we can make that happen, let me know. I can handle those requests. Just DM me on Facebook and we'll organize it. It might be a while.
And
but,
if you're viewing, since there's going to be a short intermission here, if you're viewing this on YouTube, if you need to get into the cells, the private group where we live stream this, the contact information will be in the description of who to contact to get into the cells.
yes, so there will be links right here down in the comments. You see my finger right down there in the comments. You know what I'm pointing at.
Yeah, your dick.
My dick cost me money to see.
Everybody's dead. Let's go.
You fucked that up.
But yes, thank you so much for watching, guys. You guys want to close out with a thing before we transition?
See you guys in a few minutes, niggers.
Yes. Oh, I'm
Yes.
not that for YouTube, but also yes.
Catch you guys
Well, I
later.
guess we should all just like drop the M-bomb casually because niggers
Oh,
suck and
man.
I just lost the game,
Hey,
Pierce.
what about black chess pieces? Was that too much? I'm
Everybody-
sorry.
What? How was that?
This is
Well,
cells. We're gonna
I
play with
like
Andrew.
I have
We're gonna-
black chess pieces, and they're property.
We
I own them.
already said nigger.
That
I guess-
well, that's just an ignorant person.
This
I
is
own
the,
I'm
slaves.
just saying. We
That's a whole different thing,
The
man.
bonus 45-second say nigger as many times as you want moment that we're gonna cut out of the YouTube stream, obviously.
Yeah, I know.
End the damn stream.
Oh, wait! I got
Yeah,
it.
let's,
It's
alright,
naggers.
we're done.
It's naggers. My bad.
Yeah.
Have a good night, guys. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
As in, like,
See you or next time.